Hello, and welcome to Street Aesthete. This is the show where we explore street view coverage of a noteworthy location, looking out for beautiful architecture and stunning scenery, while I amuse myself by remarking on what we see. You rejoin me in the South African city of Cape Town. We've already been exploring this central business district area in the previous episode, and now I thought we'd just take a look and see if there are any other parts of the city that are worth exploring. I noticed some place names which are very familiar to me, like Plumstead and Epping over here, places in London, but then also some Dutch place names like Delft. In fact, why don't we drop into Delft and just get a sense of whether there's anything worth exploring here. Yes, a very suburban neighbourhood, not perhaps the hotbed of European colonial architecture that I hoped it might be. So we won't be exploring Delft today, but perhaps we can take a look at some of these places a bit closer to the coast. Llandudno Beach, named after the Welsh town, presumably. Why don't we take a look at Hoot Bay? Wow, now for stunning scenery, this is the kind of thing we're looking for, I would say. Some fantastic mountains. And I think we'll just head south towards the beach. Some lush greenery on display here. We're in February, we were February, now in September, back to February, so this is the height of summer, and a beautiful sunny day in South Africa. Yeah, it looks like it would be a fantastic place to go and have a meal after a day of sunbathing on the beach over here. Not perhaps the KFC, but another restaurant might do. Alright, we've more or less come to the beach. And look at this gorgeous white sand. That's heavenly. Many of the beaches on the south coast of England, the ones that I'm familiar with, are kind of shingle and pebble, and not even half as appealing as that great sandbank that we just saw there. That would be a really lovely kind of sand to have on your beach. Yeah, it seems like a kind of an affluent residential area. Perhaps we'll take a look at a different part of the town. Maybe we can get up on top of Table Mountain itself, which is, well, here's the national park. Looks like the trails are up here, so yeah, we'll see if there's some coverage on one of these trails, maybe. Yeah, a fantastic view. Just an amazing bay, isn't it? Flanked on all sides by mountains. Well, usually on this channel I look at architecture, so this perhaps isn't quite the right sort of location for us to be exploring on this occasion. Perhaps we'll take a look around here, around the observatory. That might be the area to be. Why don't we try Woodstock? Yeah, okay, and we've dropped into a place that is showing its Dutch heritage. Although I say Dutch, actually, now I think about it, these more kind of elegant rounded shapes remind me a bit more of Portuguese architecture. Take a look at my video exploring Aveiro in Portugal if you'd like to see a bit more of what that's like. Yeah, some nice stucco decorations here above the windows. I've ended up heading west. I was intending to go east, but I think actually maybe this might be the right direction to kind of get back into the centre, and it'll be interesting to encounter the central district coming in from the side. Ah, yeah, some more of the colourful houses that we espied in our previous video. If you're enjoying the music that you hear in this video, then you might consider taking a look at my first channel, which I'll link in the description. That is where I upload all of my original compositions. And you can hear those without me talking over them. And they're often accompanied with some photography and footage that I've taken of interesting locations that I have visited myself. Now this is a very lovely building. I like this. I particularly like the colour. It's almost like a kind of a very stylized version of something you might see in the Netherlands, where rather than it being red brick, it is actually painted red. But then, as I was remarking in the previous video in Cape Town, while we've got a very kind of Dutch European looking top piece here and the kind of the classical blocks highlighted in white, the balcony here is something that speaks less of the Netherlands and perhaps even of sort of French colonial architecture. I'm thinking of Louisiana, New Orleans. You often see kind of railings and balconies on the buildings there. And I do think that at one point Cape Town may have been occupied by the French, if not certainly visited and traded in by the French. It's been variously inhabited by the Portuguese, the Dutch, the British. Yeah, there's a real kind of healthy peppering of beautiful architecture in and amongst the less interesting fare like this. And that's one of the joys, I suppose, of Google Street View, that this would take us a very long time to walk down, and in order to really appreciate the architecture, you kind of have to stop and do it at a walking pace, which is why passing in a car doesn't quite do the trick either. So here we get to whiz past stuff like this, which is not really interesting, and find things that we want to stop and admire as quickly as possible. Not to mention that Street View is, as I have often said, just a wonderful resource. We can explore the world from our homes. That's a very distinctly shaped peak there, isn't it? And in terms of the sort of quite bare lower slopes of this mountain, it reminds me of some of the mountains that you'll see in Eswatini, which of course is much further east. But anyway, that's the sort of thing that if it were seen without being surrounded by a city, I'd be tempted in GeoGuessr to start thinking of Eswatini. So here we are near the Castle of Good Hope. There's a castle, apparently. Oh yes, okay. In here, blocked by the trees. Perhaps we can jump into some slightly different coverage and get a look at it. Yeah, perhaps more of a fortification than a castle, but it has a fantastic view of Table Mountain there. Now what is that over there? A lovely looking clock tower. So we need to kind of jump over in this direction. And it's still inside the fort, so perhaps if we go here. And I've sort of lost sight of it a little bit. Should be perhaps over here. Ah. No. We were looking over here. Perhaps we need to be on Newmarket Street to see it. Well, not quite what we were looking for, but I'm very keen on this sort of stonework. Something about it. Perhaps it's just that we're in South Africa, but something about the kind of the pattern of the stones here sort of reminds me of a giraffe's skin. There was the clock tower just over there. We'll make our way around. Wow, yeah, quite an impressive building over there indeed. We'll get over to it as quickly as we can. And it's presumably this plaza is the Grand Parade. And, the night time, okay. And I wonder what the building itself is. Seems like they're having a bit of a festival here. And we're indoors. Okay, so if we get onto the street, we'll be right up against it. And here we go. This is what we're here for. I knew there had to be something special in Cape Town that we were missing. And this may well be it. Okay, let's see if I can interpret what we're looking at here in terms of who built this. I'm most tempted to say I think that this is probably British built. There's kind of hints of Dutch architecture here. This sort of gable on top, definitely reminiscent of the Netherlands, and the kind of classical columns wouldn't look too out of place in some places in Portugal, but on the whole, the how shall I call this? The stolidness of the building, the opulence of it, and the sheer confidence of it speaks to me of the British Empire at its height. And it really is a beautifully ornamented building. Lots of details around the windows here. I wonder what this building is, as a matter of fact. Doesn't seem to be marked on the map. Can we perhaps figure it out from its entrance? No text to read. And looks like we have a statue of Nelson Mandela there. But yeah, a really, really stunning building. With its beauty enhanced, I would say, by these lovely palm trees. And then to the side of it, we've got this, clearly a much newer building, and it's a KFC. It's sort of unintentionally becoming a theme of this channel that we see interesting buildings that are housing fast food chains. But yeah, here we are with something clearly built in a different century, but at least they've taken into account the surrounding architecture and sort of made a bit of an effort to put some more interesting features here. Yeah, really fantastic building. Glad we came across it. I wonder if that clock is working. 1:15, going by the sun. Yeah, probably about right. Of course, a broken clock is right twice a day, so you never can be too sure. But yeah, I'd say they've probably kept that clock working. Ooh, almost missed that. Yeah. Another very nice facade. Modestly decorated, I would say. But yeah, I wonder if there was... Well, there clearly was another building that it was attached to here. I wonder if it needed to be demolished for some reason. Often if you see something like that in London, you can be fairly sure that the would-be adjoining building was destroyed during the Blitz and hasn't yet been replaced. But in this context, in the context of South Africa, I don't think there were any bombing campaigns against any of the South African cities, although I could well be wrong. Do let me know if I am wrong. So I'm not sure quite how to interpret that. Where do we want to be? Over here on Plain Street, perhaps? Yeah, kind of a little bit of Romanesque here, in a relatively new building. And now we're kind of getting back to the part of the city where we started in the first video of this exploration. Very nice, lovely in fact. Yeah, an interesting mixture here of turn of the century architecture, and then probably around the same time, but then we've got in between these much more modern offerings, one of which has at least made a bit of an effort towards maintaining some of the consistency in the shapes we see here, and then something a lot less imaginative. Yeah, a very, very interesting city, very varied, lots of architectural history, and indeed lots of stunning scenery if we take a look at the mountain as our backdrop here. And so I think this is probably where we're going to leave Cape Town. There are doubtless parts of the city that are worth exploring that I've missed, so if you know about them, let me know in the comments. Stay tuned for more Street View exploration videos, and as I said earlier, if you like the music that you hear in this video, take a look at my first channel, which is where I upload all of my original music.